The Commission and General Assembly activities of the Turkish Grand National Assembly. For all the work relevant, I wish you all the best. Last week, the joy we had, the enthusiasm we had at AK Parti's Youth Festival made us see all clearly once again how we are connected, and at the outset of my words I would like to give some good news to our youth. For a while we have been working on a project, a proposal about students, and we will be presenting it to the Parliament. This is called the academic or student amnesty. This is for our students who had to quit their education during their undergraduate, graduate studies. It will be paving the way for higher education again for them, and we hope that this proposal, which will be giving our youth another chance for them to complete their studies, will be auspicious for our youth and for our country. About 2 weeks ago, on May 29th, at Atatürk Airport's National Garden at the Istanbul Conquest anniversary, we met together with hundreds of thousands of people, and we once again shared this great enthusiasm with our people. Conquering Istanbul was and has been as important as serving to Istanbul, and we have understood that as the whole organization, and we attach importance to all activities that will carry this ahead. In Izmir, which we visited for FS military exercise, we expressed all to our counterparts and again came together. Just like in the history, some are attacking us over Greece, and we are aware of the game played against us. The problem is to do with the fact that Greece is not aware of this game, or maybe acting as the voluntary walk around for that. As you know, these are the walk-arounds or generally do get harmed in the filming or processes of filming the most. And this is what will happen to Greece. And if they insist on that, this will sooner or later happen to them as well. In the world and in our region, we do reinforce, and we will continue with our existence, with our power in terms of economy, politics, and military. However, with this mindset, they will not be able to go ahead of being a walk-around or an extra. And we also in Izmir 2023 military exercise had great messages for that. And the CHP, which blamed us for making tactical mistakes about NATO, we have a couple of words to say. Arms, aircrafts, or machinery manufacturing facilities were closed down, and our defense industry were rendered foreign dependent. About the islands issue, resistance was not shown, and in the global management system established after the Second World War. In brief, not with tactics, but with their strategic mistakes, this was the party who failed to protect the interests of Turkey, and this very party cannot give us lessons. Kılıçdaroğlu says CHP is not the CHP of the past. And what benefit did our nation get from them? Now they would expect some other benefits now. The European Rome, FETÖ, PKK, and America lovers they have inside. They first should rid themselves of those. With God's will and our nation's support, we will be putting everything back on track when it comes to the issue of NATO, Sweden and Finland, and fight against terrorism. Until they take clear, concrete and decisive steps ahead, we will not change our stance. And you, that gentleman who now will be chairing TUSIAD. In foreign politics, you cannot give us lessons. You are still an apprentice. You don't have experience. You are still a foreman. It has just been very recently now you're chairing. Know your place. How come can you attempt to teach us a lesson? As long as these people do not come to their senses, they will not be able to step inside power in politics. In foreign politics, Sweden and Finland, why do we have an attitude about them? Why? Sweden and Finland. On the streets of Sweden and Finland, when terror groups run rampant, will we be opening our doors to them? Will we stand with them? You, TUSIAD, you can stand with them. However, we will not let the blood of our martyrs go unavenged for. And we see the West and Germany on the streets in the supervision of the German police. These terror groups make parades, marches, demonstrations. In France, they do that. And unfortunately, in the UK, it's the same. In all countries of Europe, we're faced with the same situation. And in the face of all these, to protect your own interests, will we keep silent? Sorry, but those predecessors of yours had the same mindset, and now I see that you share the same mindset with them. If TUSIAD will continue with this trajectory, then they should not be, never, knocking on the door of this government. And I see that you are now being managed from the same center. The same center it is. It is the CHP. Whatever they tell you, you speak their words. And those predecessors also were speaking the same language, and you utter the same words. And then this door is only open to those who present a local and domestic stance, and it will be closed to those who do not. With the pain of our children who fell, our hearts burn every day, and when this is the case, nobody should expect us to act with some open-ended promises and whatsoever. We will not be falling to the pits those before us did, and we will not be bid from the same place again. And in the world, we made our decision, successfully practiced our decision of converting the country's name from Turkey into Turkey. And I would like to remind you all once again, we will be doing the same for all relevant matters. And now our national airlines will not be carrying out its international flights with the name Turkish Airlines, but now with Turkey Airlines. And I guess this will be enough to all those who would be seeking after some excuses for their own ends. We were last week in Van, all the way from the airport to the organization area where we had the mass opening ceremony. We had great joy with our people and dealt with our longing. After the earthquake with its newly built infrastructure and with its now liberation from terror, Van was a city, a brand new city, if you will, completely renewed. And we in Van province met our dear citizens, our youth, by the Van Sea. And now CHP will get carried away and say that it's not a sea, but it's a lake, what we have there. We know what's a lake and what's a sea, because we come from the Black Sea region, but it is a manner of saying. From industry to tourism, in all areas there are people, and Van was a city which is growing impatient, if you will, to get more and more, and it's preparing to be one of the most important driving engines of our country. And with the investments we have made over the past 20 years, and with also new projects and all relevant work, we have always stood with one province, and we will continue doing the same. About a year ago, right after the Van earthquake, when we arrived in this city, we saw a completely different picture as compared to what we have today. And we have had the honor of bringing back the city on its feet and give dignity to its people. Then the mayor of the terror group was not even able to bring water to the city. As you know, in greater municipalities, municipality is responsible to supply water to the households, but they could not. However, with the state hydraulic works, we've solved the problem of water supply in Van. And I guess my brothers and sisters in Van knows that. And this continued as such afterwards. From infrastructure to superstructure, we did everything. We built tens of thousands of residential units. And now, in one, I would like to say that we had a chat with our youth in Edremit district. And Edremit district of Van has turned into a district by the waterfront, if you will, with modern residential units. The district of Edremit is especially beautiful. It has become such a district, and this goes the same for Erciş district. And they, with their all residential units and buildings, houses, is very beautiful. And this goes the same with Dushpa. Very recently, they also observed an earthquake, and that earthquake, of course, upset us very much. But thanks be to God, we had no casualties. Indeed, from education to health, from transportation to energy, the region which we liberated from the claws of terror and constructed all infrastructure for, we see a complete movement. This goes the same for Tatvan and Bitlis. That there is great advancement there. And the Ahlat of Bitlis is worth a see. And on the 25th, we will be in Ahlat, and then for Ahlat commemoration ceremonies, we will move ahead. And with this, the remnants of terror groups and those heinous mobs that are continuously aiming to ignite the fire of dissension will always, but always be stopped. And Mardin, Van, Diyarbakir, Gaziantep, and Hatay-like cities will be our cities where, as our masters indicated, with its south and east and north and west, our country is now expecting us. As long as we deserve that, dear friends, as long as we show the resistance, the struggle to deserve that, as long as we continue with our politics of service and great work with humbleness and modesty, the rest will come. But for that and before all, we should be concluding the 2023 elections with victory. This way we will be owning up to what we have earned over the past 20 years, and we will not allow anyone to compromise on all our advancement, and as well we will have achieved a great significant success. And after 2023 we will be working harder and bring more members in, and will continue leaving our trace on our sweat in each and every inch of soil of this country. My dear friends, the presidential and the general elections will be carried out almost at this time next year, so we can say that the countdown has started. Even though the opposition parties continue saying certain things about snap elections, the election calendar is set and it's on its path. And the opposition indeed actually does not want early elections. They would not, because these only are the people who are accustomed to making politics in their own comfort zones, concerning themselves with the concerns of the matters, or fighting against regional or global matters, or chasing after projects are not things that these people would be willing to do. We saw how Istanbul was and Ankara was in those flood disasters. This goes the same for Izmir. My dear brothers and sisters, do they have any infrastructure work? No. Just because they do not. In such natural disasters, we see one of them is traveling in Bodrum and the other one is in Eskişehir traveling, when the other one is not known where his or her whereabouts are not known. So when earthquakes or disasters, natural disasters hit. So, as Neshat Artash said, he who runs with love would never grow tired. So these people, indeed, as a matter of fact, do not have any matter in their minds to run at with love, and to be able to understand that their matter, their concern is not to serve the country. It's not necessary to have some deep analyses. Everything is clear as day to see. They have this table, however, there's no will or decision or politics that have emerged from there. And now I would like to explain what this table of six is like with an anecdote. Nasreddin Hoca, a traditional character, he needed to owe some money from one person, and then the men came knocking at his door, and Nasreddin Hoca said, I don't have the money, and then I will pay it back. And then the man came again, and he insisted when he would pay. And Hoja said, my neighbor, I have some plants right in front of your house. Why? He asked. When the herds of the sheep walk their wool will be attached to those bushes and to those bushes, and then my wife will be collecting those pieces of wool, and I'll be selling them in marketplace. And then the men started laughing, and then he said, now you understood that the money would come, and you started laughing your head off. So the candidate of the table of six. So it's like this story, as if they have the exact election date set. They have their candidate. However, they do not have a name or a candidate if the early elections would take place. And when asked how will they pay their debt, they answer in a way that is more ambiguous than what Nasreddin Hoca did. They first say that we will come together and then we will decide on some priorities and principles, and then they say that we will come up with a long list of names, candidates, and decide on the plus or minus points of the candidates. And if someone around that table does not object, we will be shortening the list, they say. And that short list will be presented to the foreign ambassadors with whom they're in contact, and then we will expect their answers, they say. And then, after all this, we will be renegotiating about the candidates, discuss, and come up with another list. And throughout this process, if we do not miss out on the elections and not forget going to the elections, we finally, at long last, will be presenting one candidate for our nation. They say. This is what they say. In brief, the Bushes, Nasreddin Hoca placed or planted to pay his debt is more probable than this table of six to decide on their candidate. And this is an alliance of noisy confusion only, and is such a group, or can such a group be expected to come up with a true name, really, let alone elections or winning the elections? It's not even possible for them to maybe come to the elections. One of their strategies of not disclosing their candidate, as they say, is their fear of being warned off. So they say if they disclose the name 1 year ago, then this person maybe maybe worn off until that day. But what kind of candidate this is? So that he or she would lose grounds and be all frayed out. What kind of a candidate is that? This candidate will be exposed or revealed and lose strength. This is not a strategy. It's a method to deceive the nation. With some sneaky hand and maybe in a jiffy, they want to present their candidates, and they are underestimating not only theirs but our nation's foresight and insight. However, our nation dealt with that abracadabra politics a long time ago. These people indeed are not even aware that they expose their own lack of competence. their insufficiency by doing all that. However, we, with our calls, we wanted to save CHP and Mr. Kemal from this whirl of shame. And now I tell to Mr. Kemal one more time, either disclose your own candidacy or disclose your candidate. Since I said that, he has disappeared. Every day he goes to an institution, and he is producing lies and slanders every day, making an uproar in some stand, and that person then all of a sudden turned all silent. He still goes up to the stands, to the rostrums, and speaks some words, but it is not impossible to see the expression of fear and also slyness on his face. And at the 73rd year of his life, he used to believe that he had an opportunity about which he could make some reputation. His party his party failed in every election they participated, and he now was preparing to make a legendary exit from his fate. But the Boğaçan story of the Korkut, maybe you know. The children in ancient Turks could only get a name after they presented some heroism. And Boğaçan was a figure who did beat a bull, and then he deserved this name. And this person, even his age is a bit old now, with this enthusiasm about being the president, go around and around. And this, of course, voice coming from the table of six, make it difficult for him. Of course, some would step in and ignite maybe some discussions which we thought were left in the past. Even though when the candidate of the table of six was not mentioned, they came up with some accusation. However, our attitude as AK Party and as the president of the country, we have a clear stance. Mr. Kemal, no matter what your origin is, we are not concerned with that. Be brave, go out there, mention who your candidate is, or disclose your own candidacy for running for the president. However, as long as we are in this government, we will not be discriminating or othering any citizen because of their origins or roots, ethnicities, languages, religions, or whatsoever. This person's incompetence, yes, will always be thrown to his face whenever we have the chance, but we will not be dealing with or be concerned about or engaged in what he had in his past as an origin or a root or ethnicity. In the last periods of the Ottomans, there were also some ignorant people who blamed their ancestors for autocracy or tyranny. To them I suggest to learn their history. first. If you are claiming that you will be serving the nation, then you should learn correctly the history, language, culture of this nation, rather than showing some books, flagging some books from rostrums that do look down on our nation. Go ahead and learn your own history without learning the ancient values that have held us together for centuries. You cannot give any lessons. And when they start acting as their own and get out of the control of those who control them, their true faces will be more clearly understood. However, we will be working with steadfastness. We will be concentrating our own goals and practice our own plans. And our nation will be making their final decision next year in June in the ballot boxes. The discrete partner of the table of six, the HDP, also caused some images of disgrace last week, and we haven't forgotten those images. Now I do call out on my nation watching us on TV. In Istanbul, Kadıköy, the would-be deputy who masterminded and acted as in the leading role, and also the other deputies with that deputy. We know what dark efforts they had in the past. And this woman, my dear brothers and sisters, her file is a very thick one. She has many claims against her, and we will be following everything that she is held to account in the eye of law. And I would like to say her immunity should be lifted very fast, and it should be again expressed. And as a party, we express that it is not possible for such people to stay under the rule of assembly. And we believe that the assembly will do what's necessary. Over the past 20 years, every attack was turned into actions of further reinforcement and turning every crisis into an opportunity. And we have had great resistance there. This goes the same for the world. After the 2008 global crisis, we emerged stronger, and also we had no injury in the debt crisis that shook Europe. It started with Gezi incidents and continued with many heinous attacks such as Tutuj or military coup attempts. We really stood our ground, and we also emerged from the pandemic with the least harm and even gaining further strength. And the negative impacts of the war in Ukraine and Russia, we are exerting efforts to also emerge out of it with the minimum level of harm. Have we not paid some prices throughout all these periods? Yes, of course. We also had some financial loss, and we're paying also maybe the price of that. But we are standing our ground. Many economies in the world, starting with some European countries and the U.S., they are now fighting, struggling with inflation prices, unprecedented inflation rates. The price increases also deepens the lack of clarity in commodity prices and products, from oil to coal. to coal in all areas, from energy production, energy generation to industry, did change the balance, and we have taken many precautions to protect our people against that. The electricity used in households, the VAT applied on it was brought down to 8% from 18%, and we decreased the amounts on bills. This goes the same for the natural gas. In the first 5 months of the year, we provided subsidies, and natural gas used for electricity by 26% was subsidized, and this prevented further rise on electricity bills. Due to Russia-Ukraine war, the wheat crisis that emerged and that now concerns all countries. In the face of that, we are exerting a lot of efforts. Along with that, sunflower oil. With those considered, we have still our relations ongoing, and thanks be to God, we do not have a problem. Grains, vegetables, fruits, about producing those, we do not have any troubles. As one of the leading food exporters of the world, wheat, sugar, and the like products, yes, are imported, of course, but it doesn't mean that the food, but it means that we do it to meet the needs of the food industry. The increases in the inputs such as oil, seed, or fertilizer is what we're aware of, and from increasing the premium amounts to many other methods, we're taking a lot of measures. In this period when the whole world is faced with a global crisis, food prices, in terms of food prices, our priority is to reduce our foreign dependency the most. 540 billion cubic meter natural gas we discovered in the Black Sea. We're working day and night to put it to public use. And on Monday in Filios, we had the ceremony for putting to service and the first welding of the pipe for the natural gas. And we are using all methods and methodologies to make the best out of our own local domestic sources. Due to extreme increases in oil prices, the amounts charged for and gas stations is of course upsetting. I wish that we had oil, petroleum, extracted from all parts of our country, and the prices then would have been lower. But unfortunately, as a country that imports oil, we are simultaneously affected by the oil price increases. This is not only, of course, sustainable for our country, but no other country in the world. And with these oil prices hopefully coming down, the pump prices will also follow, we hope. We will be enduring this problem that the whole world is enduring, and we, with patience, will wait for it to get back on track. And meanwhile, we will be concerned about our own business and do all it needs to continue with our work. And what matters when this global wave is over is to see what we will have. And now we are going to remember some recent developments about Turkish economy. Over the past year, despite the pandemic, global ambiguities and inflation, Turkish economy continued growing and breaking records in export. from agriculture to textiles, from mining to defense. In all areas, production continued, and Turkey is stepping into the new century with strong steps. In the first five of the 2022, the year 2022, our export rates increased and broke records of $242 billion. And this goes the same for the employment rate, which was actualized as 47%, and the total turnover in many sectors, including defense, agriculture, we saw an increase of 130%. The international direct investments came to $14 billion, with more than 279% of increase. And thanks to all these, tens of thousands of new jobs were created. On shore, Visa Artvin Airport, constructed on reclaimed area, was put to service. Another giant project that made a breakthrough in Turkey's history was 1915 Çanakkale Bridge. It was completed in its construction and put to service. The natural gas reserves, which will be reducing our foreign dependency, to commission, and in this project our drilling ships for our blue homeland continue discovering reserves. Due to pandemics and also the global wars, the price fluctuations against the price fluctuations, our state and nation continue working hand in hand, and foreign currency protected deposit accounts, more than 900 billion were added to the bank accounts, and Turkey in all areas continues to producing and take sound steps towards its 2023, 2053 and 2071 goals. My dear friends, yes, of course, while we are talking about all these, we do not ignore the other side of the coin. Many times, using different opportunities, I expressed, as in the past, some wrong diagnosis was made for the problems of our country in the past, and now this person sharing to Siyat says, growth is not everything. This is what he says. An export-indexed growth is not everything. He says, without growth, without export, you cannot even stand up. All these steps, all these said, is the language of CHP. So only import, you will have no export or growth, but only import. If you would say import-oriented growth, yes, I would understand that. There are some products that are import-oriented, but if you put export aside, that country would not have its gears turn. We do all of these, but your rational, your understanding would not be enough, and that's why you are replacing your chairpersons every once in a while, and you have no other place to go. The inflation in Turkey is not stemming from such issues, but now they say you will have academics, or you're the poor men. Who said to you that we do not have our academics in our boards? Yes, we have our academics within our party. At our National Assembly, we have academics. We know with whom and how to work. We are a party that has proven that over the past 20 years. Mr. Orhan, then we will ask you with whom we should work or what academics we should work with. What a mindset. Such poor people. It's very clear that they do not know AK Party. But with our budget strength and also our finance structures strength and our people's asset power, our financial structure is very resilient. Except for energy and gold, we have 37 billion dollars of surplus. In foreign direct investment, we are at a figure of $14 billion. In economy, the most expensive commodity is the commodity not found. And in this process, the biggest disaster that our people might face, we believe, would be being unemployed and also be embarrassed in front of their children as they are unable to provide. That's why we have employment as our priority, and it's not a random choice. And the outcomes we have show how accurate our choice was. With 30.4 million in employment, we have achieved the highest figure in the number of jobs. And in employment, our aim is to raise this bar even higher and attain our goals. Investment, production, and export are issues encouraged for, and we support our entrepreneurs in every area. According to the most recent data, the industrial production increased by 10.8% and went over expectations. And our export broke records and came to a figure of 243 billion. So we say just produce, just work, just create employment and jobs, and just export, we say, to all we can reach out. But not only that, due to price increases, those with lower income lost some welfare, but to compensate for it, we commission new programs all the time for workers, civil servants, for the retired, and all. We are mobilizing all our means. We are looking for solutions for the problems of our people. And in this direction, in January, we took great steps ahead. In July, with the differences in inflation rates, we will have some relief. And in the beginning of the year, we are planning for much more comprehensive and potentially relieving action plans. And the inflation will be significantly falling by the next year, and we will be seeing the concrete effects of that in daily life. For social assistance, we increased the amounts and also expanded the scope of many assistance programs to make sure that not a single citizen is faced with poverty. We're exerting all necessary efforts. The problem in our country is not employment or loss of income because of certain issues. It is because of less purchasing power with the existing income. And this is where we concentrate on. Hopefully, over the past 20 years, just like we solved all the matters and expected all and met all the expectations of our people over the past 20 years, we will again be the ones who will be coming over this problem. No one should have a doubt about that. May God be with us and help us. I wish you all the best for your parliamentary work this week. I would like to greet you all with love and respect. Thank you very much. Stay in health.
Cumhurbaşkanımıza hitaplarından dolayı çok teşekkür ediyoruz. Grup toplantımız burada sona ermiştir. Sayın milletvekillerimiz, genel kurul bugün saat 14'te başlayacak. Saat 14'te genel kurulda hazır olmanızı istirham ediyoruz.